welcome back to the Purple Fufu podcast. We hope you had a great holiday season, and we're really sorry we missed you. It's been a while, but the holidays kept us busy, and we're just glad to be back. But man, we missed a lot. I'm here with my co-host Bryce tonight at PFF regular season. How are we doing tonight?
I'm good. It's been, like you said, it's been a long 2 weeks, but yeah, it's just been a crazy holiday season. I know for not only us two, but for Boof and Slime Ball. So unfortunately, it might just be us two tonight, but that's okay because life goes on, and we'll be fine to talk about these two games that we got to witness. And I feel like, to me, honestly, they were two completely different games, like 100%.
Yeah, I agree. The first one was just the most up and down roller coaster of emotions I think I felt all season.
Right.
I was at that game. I was with Slimeball. I was with a lot of other people from Vikings Twitter. If I saw you there, it's so good to see you.
Just to clarify, this is the Colts game, correct?
This is the Colts game. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
And I met up with everybody at halftime. And if you recall, the Vikings were down 33-0 at halftime. Now, I struggled to put into words the vibe that was going around. It was kind of a mix between just like total defeat and like unbridled rage. I think I was leaning more towards like just totally defeated, but I don't even know. It was nothing like we felt this season before, I feel like. I guess maybe the Cowboys game, but we knew that the Cowboys were good. We should have beat the brakes off this Colts team, you know?
Yeah. So I unfortunately had to work like on that Saturday that we had the Colts game. Granted, I was watching it on my iPad because we were super slow, but I texted our podcast group chat. I texted our other group chat, and I texted my mom at halftime. I said, 33-0. We are cooked. There's no coming back from this. And I was like, I'm just going to turn my iPad off and just like do something else during the rest of the game. I am really glad to say I did not turn my iPad off, because the second half of that team, I don't know what the hell happened in the locker room, but that second half team was completely different than the first half team. And I don't know why that team couldn't have been there the whole game, because this absolutely could have been like a week one Packers blowout game if that second half team showed up for the first half.
Yeah, see, it's so hard to know without being in the locker room, pregame, but like even in practice, because like you said, it should have been a pretty easy game for the Vikings to win. They had the advantage in key matchups, but they still went down 33-0 at halftime. And it's not like there were any like striking moments. Like in the Cowboys game, that Micah Parsons strip sack on the first drive, that was one where it felt like, ooh, that's just going to deflate the team. They're really like, am I forgetting? Was there a moment like that?
The blocked punt that put it up 14-0 on I think it was our second drive. And we were punting from like our 10 or something. I might be wrong on that yardage.
Wait a second.
But there was a blocked punt that like either that brought it 14-0 or 17-0. I don't remember what it was. But at that moment, I was just like, no, it's going to be one of these games.
Disregard everything I just said. This was the game with the pick six with the fumble recovery touchdown.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. No, never mind. I take back everything I just said. Forget it.
Yeah, because according to one of our listeners, he's gonna say you don't know ball, and I feel like you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's simple, Ryan. I'm airing it out right here, bro. I know ball. Come fight me. Come find me. I have no memory of anything beyond the past 5 days. So that's my excuse.
I honestly, it's hard for me to recall a lot of like the first half of that Colts game, but the second half, I feel like I can remember a lot. Specifically, actually, two moments stick out to me in the first half and the second half. The first one was the Chandon Sullivan fumble return that was called back in the first half. That was kind of like an iffy, like, okay, I could see why it wasn't a fumble, whatever. But the second one was clearly a fumble recovery touchdown. And that if he would have scored, there would have been no reason that game would have went to overtime in my mind.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
If they didn't overturn that call.
Well, the second one, I mean, not the second, the first one was also in the second half, right?
No,
I
I think it was in the first half. I'm pretty sure because it would have been like 21-7 or something. I don't know.
Okay, gotcha. I
I
mean,
could be wrong. It was a lot. It
gotcha.
was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah. Um, like we're just looking at the box score here. We
Yeah.
there's been a whole Christmas in between then and now. There's been a whole Vikings game between then and now. We're kind of just we're sending it right now. But okay, so the first one I remember was called back because of a supposed stopped forward momentum.
Mhm.
I hated that so much because there was no stop forward momentum. He was still moving. He was still fighting for yards.
Right.
Don't blow the play dead, man. What are you doing? You know?
Yeah, well, we've witnessed that the refs have kind of tried to screw the Vikings over. So not only have they have had to like play an actual team, they've also had to been playing against really bad calling. And I hate being that guy, but in the last couple of games, we've seen really bad calling. So
Yeah, I think I tweeted about it. It was literally a 17-point swing, like 17 tangible actual points were removed from the Vikings
right.
scoreline because of the referees'
Yep.
incorrect calls, you know?
Yeah, no, that first half of that Colts game, it's just like kind of like, oh, okay, it kind of happened. But then like the second half came around and we're like, holy shit, is this gonna happen? And then I was like, there's no way. There's no way we're gonna come back from 33-0. And then lo and behold, there they go, doing what they do best, winning one score games.
Yeah, right. See, the second half for me being at the game, I didn't cheer very much because every single one, it's like, oh, they're just setting me up to get disappointed. Oh, there's another touchdown. Like it's going to be that much worse when we lose by, oh, what is it, 8 points now? Oh, they're tied. Oh, well, we're going to lose it. We're going to blow it somehow. Yeah, whatever. And even like down to the end when Greg Joseph was lining up for that game winning field goal, it's like, he's going to miss this, man. We're going to tie this game, the biggest comeback in NFL history, and we're going to tie it. And then he didn't. You know, kind of left the building with good vibes. So
Yeah, I got to give credit where credit's due, and I hate doing this, but like I'm eating crow on Greg Joseph. I said he wasn't very good because after like those first couple of weeks, but he's like a silent killer now. He just like goes out and kicks the fucking ball, and he does a great job. I'm gonna knock on wood so that way, in case anything happens, it's not on the Purple Fufu podcast.
Yep. I'm not going to comment on the last time that he missed, but you're right. He has been effective to this point. He's just done the job asked of him, and I hope that he can continue that. But no more comment on that because we're not going to be responsible for that
No.
jinx.
Yeah. Yep.
I wanted to give out some other props to some players. Dalvin Cook, if you remember, he had a pretty good day on the ground. He had 95 yards over 17 carries. He also had that housed screen pass touchdown.
Oh my God.
He went 4 receptions, 95 yards. He had a really nice day.
He has. And I'm still kind of in that boat of like trade him or cut him if he doesn't like want to have a team friendly deal. But after seeing him these last couple of games, I'm like, oh my God, he's still kind of got something left in his tank. Like if he'll take a team friendly deal, I would absolutely keep him next season. That's just me after these last couple of games because I will say I thought he was washed. And then I like go back and look at the box scores. I'm like, oh, he had over 100 total yards this game. Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter about cutting him or trading him after the season. They're not gonna. I really hate to be the bearer of bad news to some of you, but he brings a lot more to the team than just his rushing yards. And I know for a fact that the coaching staff really values those things. He is undeniably the leader on that offense. He's 27, but he is absolutely a veteran. He's a guy that the younger dudes look up to. And whenever you see team huddles or like important moments for the team, he's always at the middle of it. And I know for a fact that Kevin O'Connell sees that and he knows the value that that brings to the team. In addition to that, he's really good at run blocking.
I was just gonna bring that up if you weren't gonna mention it, because like I'll go back and watch the all 22 sometimes, or like the field access videos that the Vikings drop, and I'm like, okay, Dalvin had a nasty run block again. Wow. And I think year after year, his run blocking has gotten a lot better, or his
Mm-hmm.
pass blocking, not run blocking. But
Yeah.
yeah, his pass blocking has gotten better over the years. And I would absolutely agree with you. I know everybody loves him in that locker room. And you can tell the difference with this coaching regime and last coaching regime, how much of a difference like it brings to not only like the players, but the captains themselves. And it just like allows them to be themselves and speak their mind without being reprimanded. And I love that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And like you said, the run block or the pass blocking, the value that he brings as a leader, the vibes that he brings to that locker room, he's sticking around. So good
Yeah.
job, Dalvin Cook, that day.
Yeah.
Um, there were a couple more that I wanted to shout out. KJ Osborne, he had a career day against the Colts.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. If KJ can keep playing like that, I think it could be a solid wide receiver 3 in our offense. Probably not a wide receiver 2. Sorry to break it to you guys, but I think he's a viable wide receiver 3. He's a good slot option. He brings a lot to the table. Yeah, no, shout out to KJ. He's silently been having better games these last stretch of games.
Yeah, and we'll get into the Giants game next episode.
Mm-hmm.
He unfortunately had a pretty quiet day against the Giants, but I mean, his production wasn't dropped. It was picked up by TJ Hawkinson, who had a
Right.
huge like volume day. So what the Colts game says to me is that KJ Osborne can step up in those moments that he has to
Mm-hmm.
and deliver that volume when he has to. And it's been few and far between, especially after the Hawkinson edition and the whole JJ2K thing.
Right.
But I don't know. I liked what I saw.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like we've seen that over, like, obviously not his rookie year because that was just atrocious, but his last year and this season, like, even that, I think it was the Carolina game, he had that walk-off touchdown for us last season.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I will agree with you. Like, when his numbers like called upon, he like brings it to the table. So I like that. I don't know. It's really cool to see him step up like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I had one other guy that I wanted to give props on. You might have this guy as well, or others, but I wanted to shout out Shannon Sullivan.
Mm,
He has admittedly struggled a lot this season, but against the Colts, he was where he needed to be. Um,
yeah.
he had both of those huge plays taken from him, but like I said, he made those plays when he had to, and they should have produced those results, but they didn't. And if I recall, he did a decent job in coverage. I mean, like looking at the box score here, none of these receivers on the Colts really did anything. Like Michael Pittman, 10 receptions for 60 yards was their best guy on the
Right.
day. Like that's not that much. And I mean, I guess shout out to Shannon Sullivan, but he wasn't the only one doing that. That was the whole secondary. That was a great effort from him.
Right. Yeah, and I like that's the thing when I look back at that Colts game, I'm like, it wasn't even Matt Ryan that was the reason they scored 33 points. And I will eat crow on my Matt Ryan take. I'll absolutely admit that was a bad take on my part. I just felt like that going into the game, but I'm glad I was wrong. But yeah, the final score does not indicate how much Matt Ryan struggled. He had one touchdown, and that was like a flat route touchdown because somebody picked Eric Kendricks or something. I don't remember, but I
It,
know it was a flat route.
it
But
was
it
literally
was,
a 1 yard pass to the running back.
yep. And so when everybody's like, "Oh my God, the Vikings almost lost to Matt Ryan," I said, "No, the Vikings almost lost to the Colts defense and special teams."
Yep. Yeah. Like you kind of got at it. The defense as a whole did pretty well,
Mm-hmm.
which is baffling by looking at this score line. But if you take out the pick six and the fumble and the punt return or the punt block, they only allowed 14 points, right?
Yeah,
Am I missing something? 36 minus 21. I guess that's 15.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
the defense has stepped up really these last two games.
Hmm. Um, Now I haven't seen the tape that much against the Giants. I know that it wasn't as good because Daniel Jones cooked us, but against the Colts, they tried a lot of cover one and they had uh Duke Shelley in, I believe he was in boundary, and he
Mm-hmm.
succeeded in that role. And
Yeah,
it really shut down the Colts passing attack. And we've kind of talked about this. We talked about it in the pregame show. Um, the Colts are not a formidable passing offense. Matt Ryan is
no,
cooked, and Michael Pittman Jr. is not a scary receiving threat as their wide receiver one.
nope.
But their number was called, and they did their job.
Yeah, yeah, and also like to go along with the Duke Shelley thing. I'm gonna mention backup D tackle Chris Tonga, whatever his
Yes.
name is. He's like balled out when his number has been called upon too. And I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Ryan Poles, the GM of the Chicago Bears, for cutting both Duke Shelley and Chris Tonga because they've like been really good for us as of late.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Ryan Poles taking the North. Actually, he's giving the North. Much
yeah,
appreciated.
yeah. Chris Tonga, like I think even during the Giants game, he had a pretty good game too. But we'll get more into that in the next episode. But I mean, I know at first he struggled, but I don't know what it is. Like maybe they just like are getting ready for the playoffs because like these last, well, maybe not the Colts game, but definitely the Giants game. Again, we'll get into that. It felt like a playoff game to me.
Yeah, I would say the Giants game definitely felt like a playoff game, especially towards the end of it. It felt like they really took it
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah,
Um, Something that's been talked about a lot for both this Colts game and the Giants game is that on both offense and defense, we're going to see a lot of experimentation
mm-hmm.
in scheme and play calling because we want to figure out what's going to work and what's not leading into it.
Yeah. And I know you and I have had this conversation, not on Twitter, but in our text messages or whatever. You and I are both very emotional game day tweeters. And so when we see these experimental plays, I hate like seeing them because I want to win the games, obviously. But like in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, they probably are experimenting, but not on when you're fucking third and one, go just or fourth and one, whatever it was, where they had a deep shot
Yeah.
for the fourth down conversion, and I was like, oh man, what are we doing? But I mean, we have a playoff lock. The lowest we'll get is 3, so they're totally fine with experimenting.
Yeah. I'm really glad that the listeners at home can't see my group chat texts during the game. I won't say much. All I will say is Kevin, if you ever see those texts, I'm really sorry. My emotions got the better of me. I appreciate that you're experimenting now and not in the playoffs. Find what works for you, man. Do your thing. Don't listen to me ever.
Yeah, I'm not gonna mention what he said, Kevin, but I had your back. I had your back. Don't worry.
And he was right.
As long as you don't pull a Brandon Staley in the playoffs, that's all I care about.
Brandon Staley. I I don't even know what to think about that guy. They made the playoffs.
But they're gonna be a one and done. I'm sorry if we have any Charger listeners because I know we're gonna have people say the Vikings are one and done. I don't know about that. We'll get into that later, I'm sure. But Chargers are absolutely one and done. Like their defense is good, but their offense is kind of ass.
Yeah, I feel bad about it too. Jay Herbo is one of my favorite players,
Yeah,
but that team is kind of bad, dude. Brandon Staley's kind of bad. I don't
I think he's on the hot seat, dude.
see. I thought he was going to be on the hot seat, but then he made the playoffs again. And
Uh,
like you said, they're going to be a one and done. If they get blown out, then I could see them making a change. But I don't know. I feel like he's won too many games to get fired just
yeah,
yet. He's still really young. He's still pretty fresh.
that's yeah. All I'm saying is if he is fired before Cliff Kingsbury, there's
Oh
something
my God.
wrong with the Arizona Cardinals.
I would be extremely surprised if Cliff Kingsbury made it past Black Monday. I think Cliff was getting shielded by Steve Keim,
Yep.
who was getting shielded by that owner, and Steve Keim stepped down for health
Yep.
reasons.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, he's out of the picture now. Adrian Wilson, the the hot GM prospect, he's in there now. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is
No.
here next season.
No, I think like I've watched obviously when they are on prime time. I've seen a couple of the Cardinals games, and like I could just see Kyler Murray yelling at Cliff, and I'm like, this is a very bad relationship. Like, how is this gonna? This is just gonna hinder your success of your franchise. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Anyways, yeah, I think I don't know. To wrap up that Colts game, man. Just like the first half and the second half just felt completely different. Even that second half, the second half felt like a playoff game to me. That entire second half, because our defense really kind of balled out for that second half.
Mm-hmm.
Final thoughts, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to pull any judgments, to be honest, from that Colts game in particular, just because 33 points in the first half, man, that's so
Yeah,
strange. And it was against the Colts. They're a bad team.
right.
21 of those points came off of like just the flukiest fluke
Yep.
plays ever. Like, I don't know. Like the one, I guess the one thing that I do take away, and it's more about the team, and it's something that we've seen time and time again with them. They have spectacular resolve. This team looked in the mirror, down
Mm-hmm.
33 nothing, and decided that they were going to win this game. And then they went out and did it. And I think that's really important because when they go into the playoffs, they're going to face a team like the 49ers, or they're going to face a team like the Cowboys, and they're going to probably get hit, like punched in the mouth, and like run up the scoreboard. They'll do that, but then they will know within themselves that they could win this game if they
Yep.
dig deep.
Yeah, and I was just gonna put my 2 cents in there about playoffs. I think the only team that really scares me is the 49ers. If you want my honest opinion.
Really.
Uh I think the Cowboys are if we play them again, I think the Cowboys are totally beatable. As we've seen with if the Eagles are totally beatable, Eagles had like a super easy schedule this season. Jalen Hurts, yeah, he's a good quarterback. I'll give him props, but the Eagles don't really scare me. They beat us week 2. We've been a way different team than week 2. But really, the only team that scares me is San Francisco, and it's because of their defense. They have a really nasty defense.
Yeah. I kind of have to disagree with you. I fully agree with you on the 49ers. That defense is suffocating, and Nick Bosa is playing like
Mm-hmm.
the actual MVP right now. But I think I guess another point of agreement, the Cowboys. We definitely can beat the Cowboys because they're going into that game at US Bank Stadium thinking, remembering, oh, we destroyed these guys here.
Mm-hmm.
Like this will be
Right.
easy. They don't have, like, they're gonna just, it's gonna be the same thing as when we won 40-3. Meanwhile, the
Yep.
Vikings on the other side are gonna want to prove themselves, and they're going to remember 40-3.
Yep.
They're going to see that score every single day in practice. They don't want to let that happen again, especially in the playoffs.
Right.
And like I said before the Cowboys game, I think we match up to them pretty well when both teams are on their game. I think it could absolutely go differently. I do think the Eagles would destroy us in the playoffs because of Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, when he's on his game, is unstoppable. I think the Eagles actually have a shot, not a shot, a very like high likelihood of beating the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, because not only like that offense can hang 50 on anybody, but that defense is something that the Chiefs don't have, you know?
Yeah, but also here's my thing. I don't think Jalen. I will agree. Jalen Hurts is a very scary quarterback. Do not get me wrong, but if he's dealing with a shoulder injury, even if he waits that process to heal, you don't know how it's going to affect him in the playoffs after not throwing for weeks or whatever how long he is. He'll be great running because he's a great mobile quarterback. I think it would be very interesting to see how he does after not practicing after that shoulder injury. That's just my opinion. I think really it's honestly the playoffs in the NFC are so wide open this year. I don't really know who's really a Super Bowl favorite in the NFC besides San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
if you want my honest opinion.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. And I think the thing with Hurts is that he does need to heal and he needs to get reps in before the end of the regular season. Because if he doesn't, that's going to be like a full month
Mm-hmm.
between the 3 games that he missed during the regular season and the bye week. You don't want to just jump right back into the playoffs like that. That being said, if he were to do that, I still think the Eagles would like beat handily whoever they face. Because, like I said, it wouldn't be the Vikings. It would I think it could be the Cowboys.
It, as of right now, I think it would be the Cowboys.
Okay. But
Well, wait, no, because they have the bye. Never mind. Yeah,
yeah, it would
but
be
that would
whoever
make
won the 3-6 game. No,
yeah,
that would be the Vikings opponent.
yeah,
Anyways, uh,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think like even with Jalen Hurts like recovering, I still think they're in a really good spot to, be a huge problem, especially for the Vikings. The Vikings can't cover Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Like
right.
that's
Yeah,
what it comes down to.
that's very true. Yeah,
So
I don't know. We've been seeing, and again, we'll talk more into this in the next episode. But we've been seeing a lot more Daniil Hunter like lined up at D end again, and I think Ed Donatel finally realized, hey, let's put Daniil Hunter where like he shines. And boy, oh boy, if it's gonna be like this for the playoffs, I'm excited. I'm really excited, and that's weird for me to say that about our defense, but like him and Zadarius Smith have been great these last 2 weeks.
yeah. And I think part of that too is the fact that the coverage has been just a little bit better. And the reason why it felt like those two disappeared for how like that stretch of games was because they got these opposing quarterbacks got the ball out so quickly because their receivers were always open. They didn't need to wait 2-3 seconds for Z Smith and Daniel Hunter to
Yeah,
ravage their tackles. They could just sling it out immediately and get 10 yards, 10 yards, 10 yards. Whereas now quarterbacks are taking longer to get rid of the ball and they're feeling the pressure because these two players are beasts. And you're right, they can keep that up in the playoffs.
and not only that, but like even Harrison Phillips and Tomlinson, Dalvin Tomlinson have been like really good for us too, run blocking. Like
Mm-hmm.
our def, like I said, I just need our defense to keep clicking like this, going into the playoffs, and I think we can compete with any team.
Dalvin Tomlinson is a man after my heart. He can bring us
Yeah.
world peace.
Yeah, I had something to bring up about the Giants game that you tweeted that I found so funny.
Gotcha.
and I, and I can't wait to talk about it because Dalvin Tomlinson goes into it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I can't wait to find out. Um, did you have any final thoughts on the Colts game? If you don't, we can wrap up this episode and get on to the next
uh,
one.
I think JJ even during the Colts game has solidified himself that he should absolutely be in the MVP conversation. Like
I fully agree.
he's had his number called upon time after time this season, and that he needs 204 yards to break 2,000 yards in his third season with Kirk Cousins as our quarterback. And I love Kirk. He's a good quarterback for the system, what we got going right now. But imagine if we had like a Justin Herbert or a Pat Mahomes type quarterback with Jefferson. Like I'm so happy what he's doing with Kirk Cousins, but it's just like JJ could honestly be the best wide receiver of all time when his career is all done.
The thing that excites me the most about Justin Jefferson is Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell know his value. They
Mm-hmm.
know that they cannot let that man leave the building.
Yep.
And Kirk Cousins, he's good, and I appreciate his time here. He's not going to be here forever.
Right.
Justin Jefferson will be here longer than Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
If we see Kevin O'Connell go out and replace Kirk Cousins with a Caleb Williams or a Drake May or a Bo Nix or an Arch
Oh.
Manning or somebody like that.
Oh my
And
God, dude.
oh my God, we could see video game numbers every single year. we could see like a LeBron level peak with this guy. Because
We could,
remind you,
yeah,
he's 23 years old. He
right,
hasn't reached his prime yet, and he's doing
right.
this, you know?
And he could, honestly, he could be like Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice played what until he was like 40, 41, something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I think JJ is totally capable of doing that. I don't know if you've actually noticed. I noticed this last game because I don't know what it was, but JJ's like shoulder pads were like super tight this game or whatever. But JJ's kind of built like
Oh yeah.
he looks like a twig, but that man is strong. Like some
Mm-hmm.
of the hits he took during this Colts game, like against from Stephon Gilmore, which fuck Stephon Gilmore for that hit. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says that he lunged for JJ. I don't care. To me, that's a helmet to helmet hit. That's how I
Yeah.
feel personally. But also JJ got his revenge when he juked the fuck out of him in the end zone, in the red zone.
Yeah. I'm not even going to get into the Stephon Gilmore thing. I
Yeah.
will not dignify that discussion with my thoughts. But you're right. Justin Jefferson got his revenge. And I mean, he kind of just cooked them all day.
Yeah.
The stat line reflects that. That dude is not only just built, he's a freak athlete
Yeah.
among the freak athletes. And he does everything essentially perfectly. Every single aspect of playing wide receiver, you can't really find an issue with. My favorite quality about him is like when shit gets really hard, Cousins kind of just throws up like a bunch of hospital balls for him. And every single one of them, he kind of just like pixie dances his way out of it. Every single time it's like, oh my God, Justin's about to die. And then he like spins and like runs up 5 yards. It's like, ah, nice.
Yeah. I shout out to Howie Roseman for thinking Jalen Rager was better than Justin Jefferson because just like imagine if Justin Jefferson was on that Eagles team now, they would
Oh my
clearly
God.
be the clear cut favorites for the Super Bowl, but he's not. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad we have him and he's going to be a Vikings for 10 more years. I'm sorry, he's probably going to be here for at least 10 years. Not saying he's going to sign that long of a contract, but his total like years in Minnesota will expand 10 years. But um, I'm so thankful we have him and JJ for 2K and MVP. He's got my MVP vote. It's time for if it's going to be a quarterback, just name it the quarterback most valuable quarterback award, not the most valuable player.
Man, Jefferson and the Eagles would be
Oh,
truly the darkest timeline.
yeah.
I have a take that I'll preview here that Howie Roseman is the best general manager in American sports. And the fact that he passed on Justin Jefferson, I love it. It makes that take a lot harder to justify, a lot more hoops that I have to jump through for that. But
And
we don't care
now
about takes. We care about the best wide receiver
vibes.
in the past 20 years being on the Minnesota Vikings.
And not only that, we got their wide receiver they drafted now too, so that
There you
makes it even
go.
better.
There you go. Thank you, Howie.
All right, yeah. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this part of the episode?
I'll just say that, you know, when this team looks in the mirror, when they look at each other, they look at the man on the left and on the right to them, and they believe that they can win, they will win. That's all I'll say. That's all
Yep.
I'll say.
Yeah.
All right, that about does it for the Colts review. We're really sorry once again that this came so late after the Colts game, but we appreciate you listening. Stay tuned for the second episode of this week, where we talk about the Giants game as well as the Packers game preview. So, thanks again for listening. Skol Vikes.
Let's go Vikes.